Chris Tucker is one of this generation's most beloved and successful comedians, and there's a good reason for it. He's given us countless laughs and endless ab-clenching memories ever since he blessed us with his presence in 1992 on the hit comedy series, Def Comedy Jam. His comical high-pitched cries of Craig's names are singed into the brains of almost every resident of a black household in America. And he always seems to steal the show, even as a minor character in his early projects. Still in the show is precisely what Tucker did when he replaced the iconic Purple Rain artist, Prince, who was originally sought after for the role of Ruby Rhod in The Fifth Element. Okay, well, stole might be a bit of a stretch when Prince was in fact the one who turned down the project due to his assigned character's wardrobe. Designed by world-renowned fashion designer Jean-Paul Gaultier, the costumes were rumored to be too effeminate for Prince's taste. Now, I know you're probably wondering, too flamboyant for Prince, the fashion icon, the king of eccentricity? This was the man who was sporting bedazzled fits every time he hit the stage. But this actually spoke volumes to the wardrobing and to how flamboyant Luc Besson, the director, envisioned his character Ruby Rhod to be. It was written for Prince. I met him, he said yes. But then he went on a world tour for 10 years. We couldn't find time in his schedule. Then I started casting, and the two finalists were Chris Tucker and Jamie Foxx. Jamie was amazing, but he was as strong as Bruce. And Chris looked like a shrimp, so I knew it would be funnier. But what a luxury to have to choose between these three talented people. Tucker saw Prince's declining of the role as an opportunity to hone his acting skills and to lend aid to bringing life to now an iconic movie character, the Ruby Rhod. And he achieved just that. Chris revealed the wardrobe for Ruby shortly after landing in London to start production on the film. He knew immediately that he never touched anything like this. The Friday Star later stated in a GQ interview, "If I would have found out what I was wearing, I probably would have said, nah. But that he was glad he took such a leap." When looking back at Chris's past work in comparison to The Fifth Element, we've never seen him in a role like this. Dancing in such an unfamiliar territory, he welcomed this newfound role with open arms and an open mind. It was a stretch for me because I've never done anything like this before. It is so far from me and what I do in stand-up comedy. The movies I do have to do with reality-based situations. This was nothing like that. Although Prince passed on the film, it doesn't mean he can't be used as a model of inspiration. Tucker talks about deriving Ruby's mannerisms, voice tone, and cadence from both the late Prince and Michael Jackson. This was an essential step in the creation of Ruby Rhod, personifying his fierce attitude, flamboyant stride, and his womanizer ways. Because even if Prince had done the same fishnet top on multiple women in the crowd, the ladies wanted him all the more. Chris wanted to mimic that same effortless swagger, creating a futuristic rock star that abides by no gender norms. With this effort, he brought to life one of the most overdramatic, egotistical, ostentatious characters we've ever seen in cinema. Ruby Rhod quickly became the epitome of queer representation. His image of relatability spread so much further and wider than Luc Besson or Tucker could have imagined. Costume designer Jean-Paul Gaultier made all 1,000 costumes for the film. While at an exhibition at the Brooklyn Museum in 2013, Jean-Paul told fans about his initial meeting with Prince. "I showed him my drawings, but he didn't say a word. I had an idea for a really fun costume with netting which quite long body hair would pass through, and I had done front and back versions of it. Still not saying anything. Prince gave me this Charlie Chaplin kind of look. I could see that something had just happened, but I didn't know what, only that he had indicated to his bodyguard that he wanted to leave right then and there. Later, Luke told me that Prince had been very surprised and amused by my presentation, but that he found the costumes a bit too effeminate." Each costume look of Ruby's gave massive homage to the art form of drag. Drag has been around for ages and is one of the most prominent entertainment styles today. It has more recently progressed from underground enjoyment to mainstream television, filled with competitions and wild performances. In one of the first scenes where we are introduced to Ruby's character, he is seen, for a lack of a better word, munching away at the stewardess as he sports a snug, exposed, leopard-printed bodysuit. Ruby Rhod became somewhat of a fictional idol for some, especially in the Black queer community. But with great admiration also comes disapproval and backlash. Although Ruby is set to be the comedic relief of the movie, it unfortunately comes at an expense of his masculine identity. Now, the studio sells the idea of a gender-fluid media mogul who is fierce about his work, creative decisions, and social power, but is depicted as a coward and capable of lending aid to anyone, especially himself, during the most intense scenes of the film. Instead, he looks to Corbin Dallas to come to his rescue. This gives Ruby an inferior complex of comparable masculinity to the white male protagonist. Many comedy legends that have came before Chris Tucker have made the decision to say yes to the dress. But that leads to the question, why is that decision so controversial in the Black community? Well, masculinity in the Black community has somewhat non-conforming definition, and when seen in an untraditional way, a lot of men with that immutable outlook deem that version of masculinity freakish, unconventional, and in a way that is threatening. As we have progressed in acceptance and understanding of the LGBTQ+ community as a society, we've also made strides in redefining masculinity. It is a spectrum just as sexuality is. A label shouldn't be placed on you just because you are interested in who you are in that moment, even when people are trying to force it on you, as seen in this clip from the hit show Atlanta.
Girl.
Yeah, man, yo, this is my ex Lisa, man. We used to talk back after my mom's kicked me out the house, you know.
My nigga, that's a man.
What? Nah, man, this is my ex.
Your ex-girlfriend a man. Why you think she in jail with the men? She'd be on the other side. Nigga, you gay.
So you think I'm gay?
Nah, no, I
This nigga gay as hell.
Shut the hell up, man. Y'all niggas is tripping. I ain't gay. Y'all niggas fuck guys up in here anyway, man.
No, that ain't gay. That's just jail. You was on the outside, booty hole.
Sexuality is a spectrum. You can really do whatever you want.
Nah, that boy gay.
Now, back in June of 2023, Tyler James Williams from Everybody Hates Chris and Abbott Elementary went viral after fans began to speculate about his sexual identity. After seeing what fans were writing online, Williams took to his own social media to explain how his own brother, who is gay, helped him deconstruct his idea of masculinity. "I'm not gay, but I think the culture of trying to find some hidden trait or behavior that a closeted person lets slip is very dangerous. Overanalyzing someone's behavior in an attempt to catch them directly contributes to the anxiety a lot of queer and queer questioning people feel when they fear living in their truth. It also reinforces an archetype many straight men have to live under that is oftentimes unrealistic, less free, and limits individual expression. I've been very clear about the intentionality I try to put into using my platform to push back against those archetypes every chance that I get. Being straight doesn't look one way. Being gay doesn't look one way. And what may seem like harmless fun and conversation may actually be sending a dangerous message to those struggling with real issues." After Williams made these posts, many began to praise him for his allyship with the LGBTQ+ community. Some say a man can still retain his masculinity even when dressing in drag, while others would disagree. Seeing the success of Martin Lawrence, Tyler Perry, and Eddie Murphy, it becomes hard to argue when one is looking to acquire the same amount of fame. This tactic was formerly rumored to be used by studio executives in order to produce a visceral, non-threatening image of Black men to audiences. In some instances, it's considered selling out to the white man's agenda to emasculate and feminize the image of Black masculinity to the white viewer. This theory could strictly be considered conspiracy by some, but to those such as Dave Chappelle, it is not. Now, before jumping to anything, Dave can attest because he's had personal experiences with said 3 studio heads. He reveals in his exclusive Oprah interview that this was one of the many reasons leading up to his extensive hiatus from show business and the turning down a $50 million contract. Dave Chappelle responds best when he is asked about his seemingly uneasy paranoia surrounding those major Hollywood studios and their agendas. What is a black man in America without his paranoia intact? There are some in this modern society that have labeled us as always playing the victim, that we are fixated on the plight of our own, and those contributing to the debase the sheer strength and power that we hold as a people with the inclusion of our sexuality and sexual orientations. On the other hand, there are armies of people who support and contribute to the push of powerful black representation in mainstream media today. We have made an immense amount of progress throughout the past 10 decades to show and represent ourselves in a light that inspires future generations. We as black people are responsible for what American pop culture is. This film wouldn't have been close to the classic blockbuster that it is without Chris Tucker's trust in himself to challenge and step outside of his comfort zone, even at the risk of judgment and disapproval. I mean, and if we're being honest, the train does not move without us. We are the epitome of art, and art has no binds, no sexuality, but the artist does, and we are free to express ourselves however we like, so we can inspire a chain reaction of even more iconic characters, such as Ruby Rhod. Stay up to date with the latest news and comedy by subscribing here to our YouTube channel. Follow Comedy Hype across all social media. For Comedy Hype News, I'm Symphony Thompson.